This is Titan Talk. Welcome once again, everybody. Today is June 16th, and this is episode 8 of Titan Talk. My name is Kimber, and I'll be breaking down all the latest details about the newest episodes of Attack on Titan, so obviously this will be filled with spoilers. We're going to dive into the plot, character developments, my favorite quote, and new Titan developments that we found out in this episode. Also, I'll go into my predictions for the next episode and talk about some other news in the Attack on Titan media world. I don't own any of the storylines, characters, or events in the Attack on Titan world, nor do I own any of the rights pertaining to the show. Okay, let's do this! So the episode was called Charge, and that's exactly what they did in this episode, a whole lot. My predictions from the previous episode of Titan Talk included the scouts fighting the armored Titan, which, check. Ymir apologizing to Krista for eating her, so check. And Erwin implementing a do-or-die strategy, which, check. That was the charge. So going through the plot, at first I didn't think we were going to get all three of those things, but I was super wrong. About a third of the way into the episode, I had said out loud, is this going to be an episode with Ymir and Krista apologizing to each other for a lot of stuff? And after that third of the episode, I was wrong. So, yay. It got better. And so we start off with the scouts. Erwin has this do-or-die plan to just charge after the armored Titan. Some of the other scouts thought that he was using the scouts as bait, but he explicitly states that was not the case. We also see that Mikasa is in total kill mode right here. And then we get back to the armored Titan and that group over there. And Krista is finally taken out of Ymir's mouth. So first, I thought it was pretty cool that Ymir could actually come out of the Titan and it still be in Titan form, holding on to the armored Titan and holding on to Krista. I'm still calling her Krista because everybody else does. And Ymir's apology was it wasn't a straight up, I'm sorry for eating you. She basically tries to convince Krista that life isn't as bad as everybody thinks it is outside the walls. And she says to her to overlook the fact that Titans are, I don't know, going to try and eat her at every turn. Yeah, not gonna happen. Krista then asks if Ymir is being threatened by Bert and Ernie, but Bert interjects and says it's actually the reverse, which, I mean, it's really both, if you get down to it. Ymir did threaten them to leave, but they had also convinced her to stay. So it's really both. Also, I'd like to know, Ymir finally got Historia's name right in this moment. I was like, finally, everybody keeps calling her Krista. I don't know why. Is it just that they aren't aware of her name? Is it that they're making mistakes? Is it that they're just not used to it? They finally start to embrace her new name. I'd also like to point out in this conversation that Ymir says that she stole the power of the Titans. We'll get to that later on. Ymir basically says to Historia, which is her correct name, that she is more like bait than anything else because of her importance to the church, which I don't know if that was the only reason that Ymir had ever fought for her, but she makes it sound like that's the only reason she keeps Historia around. And we'll get into this as well in the character analysis. But even when Ymir says to Historia that she is more like bait, Historia says, no matter what, I am your ally. Okay, I guess we're going to test that theory later on. Then we go over to Eren, who's just been riding around unconscious. Finally, he just has this way of ruining a lot of things. Eren wakes up and the scouts are caught up to the armored Titan. Bert still has him tied on his back, and they do this maneuver where Rainer puts his hands around his neck and they go inside and they peek out from between his fingers. I thought that was pretty clutch right there. Mikasa comes over and she is not happy. It is rare to see her this angry, but is it really that rare? Because Eren's been in trouble a whole lot. So Mikasa's been really angry lately. Eren is aware of what's going on, and now he is ready to ruin things. He is kicking, he is pushing, he is trying anything he can to just move out of there. Bert's trying to calm him down. The other scouts start gathering around and saying good luck with that. Then the scouts start moving the conversation towards Bert and his betrayal. They badger him with these questions to try and get him to answer if everything was a lie or not. Thought that was pretty cool that they all teamed up to do that. Connie really laid it on thick with the we'll grow old together and get a drink stuff. And it worked! Bert cracked after all of these episodes, after seeing Rainer break down in the forest of giant trees and Bert just sitting there straight-faced and saying to Eren, I thought I felt sorry for you, when Eren had confronted him about listening to the story about his mom. We finally see Bert cracking. A very pivotal moment is when he says a thing that is my favorite quote of the episode, and we will get to that later. But he also says, we've done such terrible things and someone find us. And he obviously means this metaphorical find who we are type of deal, which none of this had been apparent before. This is all totally new to everyone because he had been putting on such a great front. So we'll get to some more of Bert cracking later on in the character analysis, but it was a very interesting, pivotal moment in the episode. Mikasa hears all of this, Bert cracking, etc., and is literally unfazed. Just says, give Eren back. She just wants Eren back. That's it. Then we see Hannes. He is finally caught up to the armored titan. He tells them, get off of him. Because what he sees is something that none of them see, is a horde of titans just barreling towards everybody. So they scatter, and the armored titan, with his hands still around his neck, has to push through this horde of titans. Not very easy. Krista almost gets taken away by a titan, but Ymir protects her in her titan form. Then there's Erwin, who made this comment, and I don't know why everybody they feel so passionately about Eren. He literally says there is no future where humanity can inhabit these lands without Eren. We recover Eren and immediately retreat. Eren has to be the key to something. There's gotta be something going on in his dad's basement that he has yet to go to, and we're almost at the end of season 2, by the way. There has to be something going on with Eren, that the Titans want him and the Scouts want him, and Erwin, who I've never really seen be so passionate about Eren, says that he is basically, there is no future for humanity without Eren. That is insane to me. I personally don't like Eren all that much. I don't know if that's obvious. It probably is. But apparently he is super important. So I want him to stay alive for that purpose, pretty much. Then it is the charge. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why the episode was called Charge. There was a charge here. The armored titan finally opens his arms to pull the titans off of him that are trying to defeat him. Erwin, while he's telling everybody to charge, gets snatched up by his right arm while he's holding his sword. That came out of nowhere. I knew when I saw this happen that it would not be the last of him, because when they usually show deaths from titans, etc., they show the whole person being eaten. I knew that if it was just his arm that they've got, that he was going to figure out a way. Plus, he's a leader for a reason, So Erwin's gone, and the scouts start to take on a lot of casualties, unfortunately. So we do see other scouts being eaten whole. And through the horde of titans, Mikasa is flying through, right? And she gets to the armored titan, and she makes her move to try and rescue Eren. Doesn't get it immediately, but Armin comes in. This was a cool moment in the show. Armin makes it to the armored titan, right? And he's looking at Bert, and he has this memory of Bert looking at Annie in such a way, and something clicked in Armin's head, and he cracked a little bit. He had this twisted look on his face. It was pretty cool. And he realized that Annie was left behind. He used her torture against Bert in this moment. He explains that she is being tortured in every way imaginable, and that she is teaching a valuable lesson about pain, and going on and on and on about how much suffering she's going through, and it works. This distracted Bert for long enough that, guess who it is? Erwin comes in to chop him away. Mikasa snatches Eren like a boss. That was a good move. Armin is very good at not having to be the strongest to get things done. A lot of them use their brute force or their fighting skills. Armin doesn't have that. He knows what his strengths are, and he uses them. I respect that. So then we're on the ground at horse level. Connie sees Historia on the ground and picks her up as he's riding on a horse. Ymir had been following her and was about to grab her, but Connie got her first. So now Ymir is in pursuit of Connie on his horse while she's in Titan form. And Historia wants to be put down. She's already made up her mind. And he listens. He puts her down. Ymir gets her and they go away. Then we see this large shadow come over them and turns out to be a whole Titan. The armored Titan is so strong that he can just throw other Titans with one arm, by the way. This throwing knocks Eren and Mikasa off their horses and onto the ground. And it had knocked other people onto the ground as well. But those two in particular, why? Why is that important? Because we look up, we see this large female-looking shadow coming up to him. Then they do a flashback of when Eren's mom was eaten by a Titan. Guess what? It's the same Titan. Holy crap, Eren is fighting the same Titan that ate his mom in this next episode. Holy crap. To be continued. Always to be continued. Alright, it's time to analyze what the heck just happened. So, the episode slide, which always shows, this one was about special Titan powers. And the slide states that among the Titans, there are those with special powers. The intense high-temperature steam of the colossal Titan and the hardened skin of the armored Titan are prime examples. It remains unknown how they possess such abilities. So, I think one of the other abilities that the Titans have, in particular the armored Titan, is super strength. Just the fact that he can throw full-size Titans at people is amazing. I wish there was like a hint of where these powers came from, but there is no such hint. Just says it remains unknown how they possess such abilities. So a big old shrug at the end. That's great. That's exactly what this show needs. So my favorite quote of the show, if we rewind the plot a little bit, we go to where Bert and Eren are still tied together in Rainer's hands, and the scouts outside are badgering him and asking him, was everything that you had done a lie? Were you just lying to us to get in on our secret and our strategies, etc.? And Bert says, who the hell would want to kill people by choice? That was a pivotal moment. That was when Bert broke down. That was when he showed us that he had actually been putting up two facades. He first was pretending to be a soldier who was actually a colossal Titan, and the colossal Titan was pretending to be okay with what they were doing when in fact they were not. And also the fact that he says this tells me that there may be a way to give people Titan powers against their will. And why would somebody want to do that? I don't think that's going to be answered this season, but I am excited to figure out the answer to that. So there's a lot going on with that quote. That's why I really liked it. Okay, so I want to talk about a few different people in this episode. First off, Historia. Ymir finally embraces her new name. I don't think Historia is ever going to leave Ymir's side, no matter what she says or does. I think she is very faithful to those that are faithful to her, and since Ymir had shown that she was faithful to Historia, that she is repaying that. And it's not as if she feels like there is some debt to be paid there. I think she wants to belong with people. She wants a family that she never had received when she was growing up. So this is her way of trying to figure out who could be in that family and who is not. And right now, the only member of that family is Ymir. So even when Ymir basically told her that she was currency for Ymir's life, Historia was still saying, hey, no matter what happens, I am your ally. That is powerful. Connie points out that Ymir is always going to help Krista, but this could be because of how necessary Historia is to her plan. I just called her Krista, didn't I? Ugh. Alright. It's hard. It's hard. So I don't know if Ymir is actually in love with Krista or if I did it again. I don't know if Ymir is actually in love with Historia or if she is doing all of this strictly to have Historia agree to go with her and basically be currency for Ymir's life. I don't know which one it is. So then we come to Bert. We saw him crack pretty hard this episode. He had put on a very strong front previously, but when he was confronted with that many scouts all asking if he was a liar, he broke down. And I mean down. Very interesting to see him finally come out? Or is this all just a front to have the scouts be sympathetic with him? I don't know, because he put on such a great front. I don't know how he actually feels about his situation. Very hard to figure out because of his poker face. I would lose against him. That's for sure. Poker, yep, I would lose. Then we come to Mikasa. I just want to say she was in kill mode. Very impressive. It only comes out when it comes to Eren, but she literally said there are only so many lives that I actually care about. And that was very powerful to me, that she would get to that level. Very powerful. I also want to talk about Armin for a second, because holy crap, what he did was so devious. He literally used Bert's crush on Annie against him in an attempt to get Eren free, which, okay, it worked, but we also got to see Armin's darker side come out, which was super cool. Is it cool that he had to develop this darker side to win the war against the Titans? Not really, but you do what you gotta do. And we are seeing him be affected by the environment, by the conditions around him, by people dying and feeling hopeless. I think that darker side is in everyone's going to come out. We had already seen it in Hanji. Now we're seeing it in Armin. These characters that we usually see be so bubbly and positive all the time, starting to crack. Everyone's starting to crack a little. This Titan stuff's making people crazy. I don't blame any of them. I would have cracked a long time ago. Just saying. So as far as Titan developments go, there were some things that were brought up that I don't know if I'd count them as actual developments because they aren't really confirmed, but I'll just mention a couple things. So there's no source of the special Titan powers, which is unfortunate. They're either not going to tell us, or there just is no source. It's random. I don't know. There is the possibility that these Titans that have the special powers got them from somewhere, and the slide just didn't want to tell us at this point. We're not ready for that information. We can't handle the truth, so to speak. Also, according to Bert, people can be given Titan powers by force? I don't understand. We're probably not going to figure this out in the last episode of the season, which is coming out tomorrow, but that is a whole other level right there. This Titan thing is so deep, and it's becoming way more calculated than I had previously thought. When you start from the beginning of the show, it's just like, oh, there are these human-like monsters and they're trying to eat these guys. Now, there are people within the faction that can change into Titans, and the Titan powers, they can be given to people, they can be forced onto people. It's getting very complicated, and I am super excited for the next season, for tomorrow's episode as well, and next season, to figure all of this out. So the next episode is called Scream, and the previews that they had for this episode, we see, obviously, Eren confronting the Titan that ate his mom, but also a lot of vague questions. They ask, what is the enemy? What is war? Where will they ever find the future they pursue? Like, what is this? This ain't a philosophy class. This is an anime show. What are you doing? You know, what? I doubt the demographic that watches the show could really be like, oh yeah, I can explain war. I know exactly who the enemy is. Like, no. What? They're very deep questions. And also, they say that Hannes has to step in and help Eren, which, surprise, right? He always needs help. Always needs help. Mikasa can't even dream without helping the kid, you know? So this next episode is going to be the season finale. I don't know how long this last episode's going to be. In other shows that I've seen, the season finale is longer. The season premiere sometimes as well, but more often the season finale is longer than the other episodes, which would be super cool if they followed that trend. I don't know if they will, so we may have a longer episode of Titan Talk next time. We may not. I don't know. And it may be longer anyway because so many things might happen. Who knows? Outside of the episode though, there were some screenshots released for the Attack on Titan game coming out for the Nintendo 3DS. The game is called Attack on Titan 2 Future Coordinates. I have a link in the description, caption, whatever, of wherever you're listening to this from, of those screenshots if you have not seen them yet. It looks kind of cel shaded. I've always been a fan of cel shading. You know, I've heard some people complain about it, but you know, grew up with a cel shaded Spider-Man game on, I believe, the GameCube, and then there's Borderlands, obviously. But I don't know, I thought it looked cool. What do you guys think? Let me know. Alright everyone, my name is Kimber. For a hell of a large selection of content, visit itsahellofaworld.com or follow them on their social media channels. You can also follow me personally on Twitter at KimberBoBimber. That's KimberBoBimber. And that has been episode 8 of Titan Talk. Thanks for listening and attack on!